Welcome to the Christian Media Marketing Show. Thanks for hanging out with me today. My name is John, and on behalf of Kavanaugh Media and the other partners that we get the privilege to serve, welcome. Welcome to the show. Thanks for just you continually trying to learn and better your craft of trying to make Jesus known. Today's episode, in fact, the next couple of ones are going to be very specific because I'm going to be talking about cybersecurity. And cybersecurity to me is something that I've really been leaning into, working on my own personal certifications. But the reasons why are that I think it's really, really important in the world that we live in today, both from nation states and from people who would wish that the gospel would not go out in the places where it is, as well as just criminals and crooks who are trying always to find ways to rob and steal, to leverage information, ransomware, things like that. There's also disinformation and those kind of activities, and I'm really not going to be addressing those. I really just want to look at, as a mission organization or a team or even a church, what can you do to protect your mission and your people of what you're doing? And so today I want to talk about phishing. Now, if you've watched this show or listened to my podcast over the years, you'll know I love phishing. I don't get to do it very often, but I do love it. And I love the analogies that come from it as well. And this is one of those. The idea of phishing here that we're going to jump into is PH phishing, not with an F, but it's still very, very much a thing that has a lot of analogies over to what we're doing when we're using a rod and a reel or whatever. So let's jump right in right now and listen, if you're listening to the podcast, or watch, as I'm going to give you some concepts of phishing, some ways that it's done, and some things that you can do to help protect yourself and your organization. Let's go. All right, let's jump into seeing what a phishing attack is. Now, a phishing attack is a type of cyber attack, obviously, but it's a very specific one where the people doing it, it's social engineering, or they're trying to trick you into providing some really sensitive information. So this is your username, your passwords, anything like credit card numbers, people in your organization, where you're working, anything like that. What's called PII, personal identifiable information, or critical mission information. And so they do this many times as masquerading as the company that you think that you're working with. Maybe it's Meta. Maybe you think you're talking to tech support, or maybe Google or someone else. And so they're using electronic means to reach out and to try to get you to give up sensitive information. So there's a few things with this when you're looking at a phishing attack. It can come from deceptive emails. So it looks like it's legitimate. And so you'll need to be looking at that email address really specific. So maybe it's your bank, maybe it's a social media site. Really look at the URL. It can be links in an email, or somebody texts to you or puts in a WhatsApp message. And so many times these links will take you to a site that is not real. This is where there are tools that allow people to inject code from the sites while you're on the sites and can make it look like everything from LinkedIn or Meta or whatever. I shared about this just a few weeks ago on a different podcast. Or it can be attachments where they say, download this PDF and here's what you requested or whatever. So it can be a link to a website or a link to a malicious attachment. It also many times has this idea of urgency or fear attached to it. Your account's being shut down. You need to do this quickly. You've broken these rules. You need to review this and to argue against it happening, which is a common one I'm seeing on Meta. But there's many times a sense of urgency or fear that's trying to prompt you to do something immediately. All right. So these are key parts to that. There's also just different types of phishing attacks. There's email, which is just what it sounds like, deceptive email sent to you and really sent to a large amount of people, maybe your whole organization. Maybe they've gotten everybody on your mission team. Maybe you use a catch-all email that goes to everybody and they find those and they send it out. So you've got to be careful protecting that. Another one is what's called spear phishing. And in spear phishing, the targeted emails customize specific individuals or just your organization. A lot of times phishing goes out to everybody, and so it's very generic. And with AI, it's getting even better, but a spear phishing is targeted towards your organization or maybe just your team. Whaling is when these same emails or phishing attacks go out towards high profile people. Maybe it's the president of your organization or your team leader. And so they're going after them and as the big whale, if you would, to try to get that phishing attack there. There's also voice phishing or vishing, which is where there's phone calls that are carried out where it sounds like it's that person or it sounds like that's where they're from. Just because your caller ID says they're calling from, let's say, Apple Card or wherever, doesn't mean that's who they actually are. And nowadays, with the ability with AI, people can voice match very, very effectively. So vishing is another one that's growing quite a bit, and it's actually a very scary type of phishing attack. There's also smishing, which is SMS messages that are sent out many times to a group, but it could be sent to you. It could be one saying, hey, click this link or do this. So it could be email, it can be voice, it can be SMS. So many times when these phishing attacks are going on, it might be something like a fake bank notification. Hey, we've seen suspicious behavior. Click here to come back in and confirm what you're doing or verify your account information or to reset your password. It'll ask you to say your current one and then your new one. Maybe a false payment request. So you haven't paid this bill or this money was deposited and you need to send it back. It was sent to the wrong person. Or we want to change the amount that's being deducted. We've seen that where they took every person in our organization, sent emails saying they wanted to change where their direct deposit was sent to. All right, so false payment type of information. Compromised account alerts, your Meta account, you've broken rules, or we think somebody is logged in and done something illegal in it. Log in, verify, do this or that. And sometimes these are actually legitimate. This is what makes this so hard in these phishing attacks is it looks like it could be something real. And so you've got to be really cautious, skeptical of everything that you're seeing. So here's some prevention tips, some things that you can do that can help you if you think that it might be a phishing attack, or even if it isn't, just some things that you can do. Be skeptical. Like I said, any unsolicited emails that you get, don't click. Don't click on any links. Don't download any attachments. I would set up your email where it's not even downloading pictures. So just be skeptical. Be skeptical of unsolicited emails or text messages, really, or even phone calls. At this point, I don't answer my phone unless I know for sure who that other person is who's calling me. So verify the source of the person. So what you can do is reach out directly to the known or trusted person using a known and trusted communication method. So if the bank says, here you go, here's an email or a text message, call the bank, call them directly. If it is Meta, log on to Meta and check these things out. See if you're seeing anything in your accounts. Reach out to support there. All right, so verify the source. Look for red flags. And the thing is with red flags, they're becoming, some of them, less and less because the AI and some of these tools are getting better and better. But check for spelling, check for grammatical errors, look for generic greetings, things that looks like it could just be sent to everybody. And make sure that when they say they're coming from a certain URL, that it is actually that URL. In fact, you might even just check to see if the letters are the same, because there's ways to change just like the A to a Cyrillic font so that it looks like it's the same one, but it's actually a different URL. One of the most important things you can do, and I'll talk about this every one of these episodes, is use multi-factor authentication. Wherever possible, add this layer of MFA. We use physical keys, physical YubiKeys that we have to put our thumbprint on to be able to verify and to access. The least secure is SMS text one because people can basically go into T-Mobile or whatever phone carrier that you might use and be able to try to impersonate you or pay off somebody, and then they can hijack your SIM. So with the MFA, unless they have that YubiKey, unless they physically have it, even if they have your username and password, they're not getting in that site. So to me, this is one of the most important things. It's not even $20 to buy one of these. I would make sure that every person in your organization has one of them, and then have backup ones that other people can use. Because if you're traveling and you don't have it, well, now you're locked out. So use multi-factor authentication. It could be Google Authenticator or other ones that are on your device. That's good. Use something. Use MFA. All right. And then keep your software updated. This is where so many of the problems come into it. We've seen websites that are hacked because people are putting plugins on it on their own that have risk to them, or people don't update their software or their plugins, which leaves vulnerabilities. There's a service that I get every day that's telling me every new known vulnerability that's happening out there. And so many of them are plugins or things that could have been solved if people just updated their software. I hope that's a benefit to you. I hope that that helps you. We're going to continue to give a couple more weeks of some really specific types of cybersecurity, some things that you can do to protect the people on your team, your mission organization, or church. And that's my desire. It's because I want us all to be able to make Jesus known, to make him famous, and to protect those who are the most vulnerable, which are actually the locals in these countries where many times it's really hard, if not illegal or dangerous, to be a follower of Jesus. So let's do our best to protect them and to keep the work moving forward. As always, if you have subjects or things that you would like to be hearing about, reach out, let me know, let other people know about this podcast and video show as well. And Lord willing, I'll see you next week. Bye for now.